voices you can rely on, and a song for you. So stay tuned, 'cause you're on the tube with me. You're on the tube with me. You're on the tube with me right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. Right now.
Hi, and welcome to On the Tube with Ely. I'm your host, Ely, and today we will continue our talk about cancer. On the first show last week, we talked about cancer, what it is, and we mainly talked about breast cancer, which was the cancer that affected me. Um, and some of the treatments that they prescribed for breast cancer, namely chemotherapy and radiation, and we're going to talk about that. We also, we want to hear from you if you have a testimony of yourself or your loved one. You can, comment below or email me, leave me your information, and I can get back with you. And we would love to feature your testimony on the Tube with Ely show. We well, let's just get started, shall we? Okay. So today we're going to talk about cancer, but what is not. And what is not is a death sentence. It is not a death sentence, okay? It can be maintained, it can be cured, and it can be prevented. Of course, Big Pharma don't want you to know that, but, we're learning day by day. More of us are discovering natural treatments and ways to combat this disease. Now, we know that it's the job of a salesman to convince his clients to buy his products, right? Okay, well, then we're to be convinced as patients by our doctors that chemotherapy and radiation and other different drugs are what's best for us, and that if we don't do this and we don't take this chemotherapy and different stuff, we're gonna die. That's not true. That is so not true. Because I'll tell you, I was reading this article, and the article was found in what's called Truth Out. And it was reported that in 2012, the top 11 global drug companies made nearly $85 billion in net profits. $85 billion in net profits. And that mainly came from chemotherapy drugs, radiation drugs. Okay? So, what does that tell you? So, America's forced to rely on this information in order to survive this devastating disease like cancer, okay? But, the drug companies have largely, they've been getting away with robbing Americans, okay? But we're starting to get wise. Over the past few years, more and more people are speaking up about the outrageous cost of life-saving treatments, okay? So I won't mention how much my chemotherapy treatment was, but it was like, whew, you could just, I wish I had that money in my pocket, okay? But anyway, a group of more than 100 leading oncologists from across the globe, they've penned a journal announcing their plans to start a campaign to force the drug companies to slash their profit margins. Okay, and that would be a good thing, because that'll stop that profiteering. What is profiteering? Well, profiteering is a prerogative term for the act of making a profit by methods considered unethical. Okay, that's just like if you have a tragedy, like say Katrina, for instance, or the Twin Towers, and then you got somebody out here selling T-shirts, of the Twin Towers and the devastation, in Katrina, or charging, like for instance, for Katrina, the people that needed water, charging $5 for a bottle of water, and different things like that. That would be called profiteering. Well, that's what's happening in the drug industry as far as chemotherapy and radiation is concerned. So now that you have a clear idea of why the drug companies push the physicians to administer chemotherapy and radiation, even some mastectomies. Now, I explained last week that a mastectomy is when they remove your whole breast. Okay, and some are performed, and they don't really have to be. It's really a fear factor. People get afraid. Oh, I'm going to get cancer again and again. So please go ahead, take my breast off. But it's rarely necessary to remove one's breast. My oncologist did not push that. He did not push, oh, we need to take your breast off because you might get cancer again in the other breast. But no, he didn't push that. So, but when you have a lump removed from your breast, they prescribe radiation, and they say that the radiation, they target that area where the lump was to prevent it recurring. But the radiation blackens your skin, and it has some side effects. As you can see, I still have a lot of blackness in my skin, and I break out a lot, I itch a lot, but that's also come from the tamoxifen. You remember I said last week that the tamoxifen is a drug that they prescribe for you after your chemotherapy and your surgery and whatever. And you can take this tamoxifen during radiation. Now remember I said that it's supposed to control the amount of estrogen that our bodies produce. Well, we need estrogen. Yes, we do. We need estrogen in our bodies because we're women. And estrogen is, what makes us feminine, well, I don't want to say that, okay, without the estrogen, we're going to grow hair everywhere and, start talking like a, man or something. I don't want to say that. But we do need the estrogen just like men, they need testosterone. That's what makes them more manly, that testosterone. Okay. So, but the estrogen can get to be too much of a buildup, and then it can cause cancer in the uterus mainly. That's mainly where it's happens. A cancer in the uterus, endometriosis, I think it's called. I'm not a medical person, so some of these terms, but yeah. So that's what that tamoxifen is, and that's what estrogen is. And so, I kind of, well, I'm taking the tamoxifen, okay? I sometimes struggle with whether I should, and I almost don't want to. But then there's that little fear factor in there. I'm afraid not to, because I don't want the estrogen to build up so much. And they just, the doctors just, they swear by, you need to take this tamoxifen. You need to take it. And they say for at least 5 years. Okay. So, and also talking about cancer, one thing I found out in my research, it's not genetic. Did you know that? I never knew that it was not genetic. I used to think that, if your grandma had it and your mom was going to get it, and eventually you probably would get it, or somebody else down in the family, and it literally has nothing to do with genetics. Not at all, But what it has more to do with is lifestyle. Okay, for instance, there's a cancer update from the John Hopkins Research University, and it says, well, every person has cancer cells in the body. I said that last week. But these cancer cells, they don't show up in, like standard tests, They don't show up until they multiplied into a few billion. You got all these billions and billions of clusters all together, and then these cancer cells, they'll show up, So, so what happens is, cancer cells, they occur between 6 to more than 10 times in a person's lifetime, okay? So, they don't show up each and every time that they do some tests. And if your immune system, that's what I really want to hammer home. I want to hammer home. If your immune system is strong, the cancer cells, they'll be destroyed and prevented from multiplying and forming tumors. Oh, yeah. So, and this is why diet, nutrition, and exercise is so very important. Also, the stress factor. That's another thing that helps the cells multiply in your body. So you want to keep that stress at a minimum, And for family members that have cancer or have had cancer, such as myself, for instance, it's only been a year since I haven't, since I had my last big medication, or the radiation, I should say. So, because I'm still taking the tamoxifen, is still considered chemotherapy. Family members and friends, you have to remember that these cancer cells can come back if you just put a lot of stress on that person. So you want to be mindful of the fact that they had cancer, or that they do have cancer. You want to be mindful of that fact, because stress plays an extremely important part. Now, I want to tell you, and later in another show, I will name some ingredients, but I want to tell you that I had a very, very good caregiver, and he cooked for me very nutritious foods, fruits, vegetables. I was going to the YMCA with my Silver Sneakers pass. Yes, I'm at that age where I qualify for Silver Sneakers. But anyway, yes, I was going to the Y. I was exercising, and he made me juices, from vegetables that he had juiced and other ingredients that he had put in there. Oh, and don't let me leave out the essential oils. The peppermint, the rosemary, the lemon. It was so many different oils that we used. All of these things help to keep my immune system up, because that regimen that they gave me was so powerful. Till if I had not been on these things prior to my chemotherapy treatment and my radiation, I would have really been in bad shape. Because as I said, some of the side effects already had knocked me out. I was weak. I slept a lot. I didn't have an appetite. Sometimes I had sores in my mouth. And some of the other side effects, my teeth got real weak. Some of them have broken off, and yes, I'm going to see a dentist so I can start getting all that corrected. But yes, it affects your teeth, and like I said, my skin, if you can see, I just, zoom in just a little. Let's see, if it lets me. Okay, it's not letting me. Okay, but anyway, hopefully you can see, how, and it's all over my legs, and things like that. So, you have to, you have to stay prayed up. You have to stay stress free, and you have to keep a positive attitude about this. You have to know that you are still a wonderful person, regardless if you have this stuff all over your skin, because it wasn't something that you did. You couldn't help it, so you don't feel bad about it because it's there. And just keep eating right and doing the right things, and prayerfully it'll go away. I'm praying that mine will go away. I really am. Because, cancer is a disease of the mind, body, and spirit, okay? So if you have a proactive and positive spirit, that's going to help the cancer warriors be a survivor, okay? So, anger, unforgiveness, bitterness, all that stuff puts our body in stressful and acidic environments. And that acidic environment will feed that cancer, and feed those cells. So we want to be forgiving, and we don't want to be bitter and anger, and all that kind of stuff, So, and then another thing that I found out is that plastic wrap, like saran wrap. Okay, I'm naming, but I have to let you know what it is. The saran wrap. It's just as dangerous when it's placed over foods to be cooked in the microwave. Because as the food is nuked, the high heat causes poisonous toxins to actually melt out of the plastic wrap and drip into your food. Okay, so be careful with that. Cover your food with paper towels if possible instead, and that's another healthy tip to help keep those cancer cells at bay. So as a lot more tips and advice concerning good health on the John Hopkins website. So John Hopkins, HOPKINS. If you go on there, you can find out so much more information that will help you as you're going through your trying time with the cancer or your loved one. Okay, so next I want to talk a little bit about how pink started representing different cancer walks and organizations like the American Cancer Society, Susan G. Komen, and making strides. Okay, so In 1992, there was this woman named Charlotte Haley, and at the time she was 68. Okay, and several women in her family had battled cancer. So she started making these peach colored loops in her dining room. And um, here's an excerpt from Self magazine. They said that Charlotte Haley, she was a grandmother, sister, and mother of women who had battled breast cancer. Okay, so her peach colored loops were handmade in her dining room, and each set of 5 came with a card saying the National Cancer Institute annual budget is $1.8 billion, and only 5% goes for cancer prevention. Let me repeat that. The National Cancer Institute annual budget is $1.8 billion, and only 5% of that goes for cancer prevention. Why is that? Okay, so anyway, we need to wake up our legislators in America. That's what she was saying, by wearing this ribbon. So what's interesting is that, like what I just told you about the pharmaceutical industry making these billions of dollars from cancer treatment drugs. Well, here's a few facts from Self magazine. Okay, from the beginning, the pink ribbon connotating breast cancer awareness has been embroiled in controversy. Okay, so today, some of the members of the movement wear it proudly. I was wearing it for a minute because I didn't know, I just going along with the flow, going along with the program. I was going to Making Strides and the different events that they had. They gave us pink ribbons and pink t-shirts, and so I didn't know. So even though some wear it proudly, and they, for giving thanks for both the symbol and its attendant charity dollar legacy, others hate it with a passion. Okay, but so much of the media and the world at large see this ribbon as a breast cancer movement. So, where did the ribbon come from? And where is it going? And what has it meant along the way? Well, the merging of the ribbon and symbolism in this country came about in 2 huge leaps. The first occurred in 1979, the year that Penny Lanigan, she was the wife of a hostage who'd been taken in Iran, and she was inspired by a song to tie the song. Remember that song? I think it's John Denver. Tie a yellow ribbon around the tree in your front yard. Well, the ribbon, Americans were told on the nightly news that signaled her desire to see her husband home again. That was, her desire to see her husband home again. And so for the first time, the ribbon became, it became medium. It became a message. Okay, so yellow ribbons sprouted up across the country, everywhere. Tired yellow ribbon here, there, it was symbolizing all kinds of stuff. So now step 2 occurred 11 years later when the AIDS activists looked at the yellow ribbon and they that had been resurrected for the soldiers fighting the Gulf War, and they said, well, what about something for our boys dying here at home? So this activist art group, Visual AIDS, turned the ribbon bright red, okay? Because they say its color stood for passion, okay? So they looped it and spruced it up, and sent it, onto the national stage during the Tony Awards. Photogenically pinned to the chest of actor Jeremy Irons. Okay. Now, overnight, every charitable cause had to have a ribbon. Okay. And then after just a short time, they were so ubiquitous that the New York Times declared 1992 the year of the ribbon. And the stage was set for the evolution of the breast cancer ribbon. So first on the scene, of course, was Susan G. Komen, Breast Cancer Foundation. And Komen, she had been handing out bright pink visors to breast cancer survivors running in the race for the cure since the late 1990s. So in the fall of 91, months after the ribbon was pinned on Jeremy Irons' photograph, the foundation gave out pink ribbons to every participant in the New York City race. And so that was the first first use of the ribbon. So for Komen, it was just detailed, and larger, more important story of the race. I mean, it wasn't really to break out the pink ribbon, event. It wasn't like let me just say this. Okay, so in 1992, Alexandra Penny, she was editor-in-chief herself. She was designing the magazine's second annual Breast Cancer Awareness Month issue. And the previous year's effort inspired Evelyn Lauder, Estee Lauder, you've heard of her and her perfume. And they, so all these companies started using these ribbons to campaign, but it really was making money for their companies. Because I mean, if you said Estee Lauder is contributing to breast cancer, you want to know who is Estee Lauder, So 9 times out of 10, you're gonna look her up. You might want to buy her products, and this, that, and the other. So, the original woman, she wasn't that happy about what was happening with her original ideal, and she, she just didn't like it. She just didn't like it, and so she said, what did she say? She said, there was many choices of ribbons to come up with, and different shades, and they chose pink, and so hopefully it'll be in their line forever. But Estee Lauder incorporates philanthropy, okay? Philanthropy. And guess what? Guess who founds the pays for making strides and all that? Can you guess? Big Pharma. That's right, Big Pharma. So the very same people that want you to take chemotherapy and radiation is funding your breast cancer walks. How contradictory is that? How contradictory is that? Okay, that is so contradictory, But anyway, I'm gonna stop there. God, it's just so much. It's just so much information out there about cancer, about the pharmacies and drug companies that are pushing these drugs into our system. Next week, I'm going to tell you about chemotherapy and where it came from and how it got started. And you're going to be astonished. You're going to be astonished. So, okay. So, I hope you've enjoyed the show today. I know that these shows can get lengthy because there's just so much information out there. But email me if you have any particular questions. And don't forget to leave your comments, like, subscribe, and share. You have been watching On the Tube with Ely, and I'm your host, Ely. God bless. Walking down memory lane, I've had some heartache, I've had some pain, but I wouldn't trade nothing for that walk down memory lane. Walking down memory lane, I've had some heartache, I've had some pain, but I wouldn't trade nothing for that walk down memory lane. You see, I saw my mother, I saw my father, I saw my son, and other loved ones on my walk down memory lane. Saw some presidents and other historical events. Heard some old childhood songs that I was singing right along on my walk down memory lane. Memory lane, yeah. Memory lane. Memory lane, ooh yeah. Memory lane. Walking down memory lane, I've shed some tears, but not in vain, and I wouldn't trade nothing for that walk down memory lane. Walking down memory lane, I've shed some tears, but not in vain, and I wouldn't trade nothing for that walk down memory lane. Saw some of my old friends fell in love with love again, and I wouldn't trade nothing for that walk down memory lane. Saw some of my old schools, even remember some of the rules. Oh, I saw some old pictures on the wall as I ran down the halls on my walk down memory lane. Yeah. Memory lane, yeah. Hey, yeah. Memory lane. Memory lane, ooh, yeah. Memory lane. And I wouldn't trade nothing for my walk down memory lane.